Hey y'all, so tonight I'm making my family's favorite breakfast meal. It is gravy biscuits. I've got milk from our cow. I've got sausage from our pig Wilma that we had processed a couple weeks ago. So it's just a really nice, yummy meal. It's like a comfort food, but I know they're gonna get some protein and some calories. Definitely lots of fat and carbs in there too. So I make homemade biscuits. Oven's preheated. I make homemade biscuits, and then I freeze them. So I'll put up a recipe for how I make my biscuits. So we just have got those frozen. They've been sitting out thawing. They're still frozen, which isn't a huge deal. I mean, I think they fluff up better if they're thawed out before you put them in the oven, but they'll still be fine even if they're frozen. So they're sitting, and the oven just finished preheating, and I'm gonna get my pot, my saucepan heated up, and I'm just gonna add a little bit of butter to it, and then get my sausage going. So this is about a pound of sausage. You can do a bigger batch. You can double this easily, triple it, whatever, or you can half it. You can do a half pound, but I'm just gonna do a pound. We do have 4 kids. And they love this recipe, so I'm gonna make as much as I can so everybody can get as much as they want. really clarify. Obviously your sausage is gonna have lots of fat, so I just kind of put it in there and let it brown. When it's almost brown, mostly brown, I will add in a couple tablespoons of butter. If you're gonna do like 2 pounds of sausage, I would just go ahead and do like a half stick to a stick of butter. But if your sausage is really fatty like this, let me show you. You can see there's lots of like liquid in the bottom, so this one really doesn't take much butter at all, if any. So I'm just gonna put a tablespoon or 2. But if this is like store-bought sausage, we usually use just whatever from the store until we have this pig process. But whatever you use from the store, I would have to put like a half a stick of butter sometimes. It just would depend on how like fatty it was. So this one I really don't have to put much. I just put a little bit for flavor. So it's getting there. It needs just a couple more minutes to brown. I'm just stirring it. I just like to make sure that the sausage is in really tiny pieces so that it's distributed throughout the gravy and not just like, we don't want it to be like meatballs. We want it to be like throughout the whole thing. So this sausage is spicy. This is spicy sausage. You can use regular, you can use country sausage, you can use mild, spicy, whatever you want. We usually get regular or spicy, and this one's spicy. It's so pretty, and we love it. I think it's extra good spicy, especially with gravy biscuits, because the gravy kind of, and all the milk kind of like pulls away from the spice a little bit. So if it's the spicy, then it's not going to burn your mouth, but it's going to add that depth of flavor that I think is really good with the gravy. But mild, I feel like it just is more plain. So this is the point when that sausage is brown and I just added my butter that I will put my biscuits in the oven. You don't want to put them in too early because then your biscuits will be like cold and not nearly as soft when your gravy's ready. You want them to be ready around the same time. So I'm just gonna stir that real quick. And then I just put like parchment paper on my pan because I'm lazy and I don't like to wash dishes. Laundry doesn't bother me, but dishes do. So I really will just avoid dishes at all costs. So I'm just putting the biscuits on here. That one's ugly because it was what was left over. Yeah, that's oatmeal. Can you put it back? I always use my ugliest biscuits to make biscuits and gravy because nobody's gonna really see it. It's gonna be covered in gravy by the time it gets to their plate. So then the kids can't complain about their biscuits being ugly because they can't see it anyway. And then I save like the pretty ones that came out the best. I'll save those for when we're just having like sausage biscuits or butter biscuits or whatever, jelly biscuit, whatever. So now I'm gonna get some flour. So we are measuring with our heart here. Usually, if this was from the store, I would do like 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. But because this is an extra fatty, and I added that butter in there, I'm gonna do like a heaping third. This part's really hard to mess up. It's okay if you go a little more or a little less. I'd say more is better because this is what's gonna give our gravy, this is like a roux, I guess, essentially. This is what's gonna give our gravy some thickness, and you can always add more milk to your gravy to make it thinner, but you can't really add flour later in the process. So this is gonna mix in with that fat and thicken for us to add our milk. You want to cook this just for a while. If you don't, it'll have like a floury taste. We're gonna make sure we're cooking out the floury taste. If it still looks really, really thin, you can add some more flour. I think this is fine. I mean, it could do to have a little more flour, but it is thickening up. I'm not super worried about it. Kids are hungry. We're having kind of a late dinner, so we're gonna try to be quick. But I've got the biscuits in the oven. In there, that one big ugly biscuit, bless its heart. You can see the butter like melting out of them. So obviously we have our milk cow. So all of our cream and butter and milk is from her. I used her butter and her heavy cream to make the biscuits. And I'm gonna use her milk in this recipe. It's skim milk. I've already taken the fat off. You can use evaporated milk. That's what my mom likes to use, like from the store. She uses evaporated milk. But I find that with this milk and then the sausage, it's just like you can't beat it. Like the homegrown pork and the homegrown milk is just unbeatable. It's so good. So we're about ready to start adding our milk. I just want to make sure that it's not super floury. I don't see any chunks of flour. Like I said, it could be thicker, but I'm not super worried about it. So now we're gonna start adding our milk. So I'm gonna add a couple cups of milk, let it thicken, and then add more. So again, we're kind of measuring with our heart. I'd say we'll probably end up using maybe 3 or 4 cups of milk. So that was 2 cups. So you can see it's starting to thicken. So now I'm gonna add a little bit more milk. I'm also gonna add salt and pepper. Just eyeball it. So that's a total of 4 cups of milk, so I think that's gonna be good. So I'm gonna reduce our heat down to low, not all the way down, but just like medium, low, medium, whatever. And then just stir in that salt and pepper. You can add the salt and pepper at any point in this stage. A lot of recipes say like, add it with the flour. I'm sure that's good. I just add it when I remember. I mean, the sausage itself has plenty of flavor to it, so it's not really like necessary. Salt I'd say is definitely a good idea, and then pepper just kind of taste. So I add lots of pepper because if I don't add it now, they're gonna add it the whole time we're eating and say it's not spicy or whatever. So I add extra pepper and then just some salt. Just do that, just measure with your heart. Just, sprinkle some in there and test it out and it'll be good. So I'm just gonna stir that until that's thick, and then we've got 12 more minutes on the biscuits. So the biscuits should be done as this is cooling off a little bit, and I'll show you the finished product. Do you approve?
Yep.